Good morning. There are two issues that have caught my imagination. One is this fourth jamboree of 50 heads of states, where they are going to discuss the nuclear non-proliferation, the spread of nuclear weapons is being discussed by the 50 people. And amazingly, in this jamboree, those countries which have been very important and which have gone practically independent are not being involved. The second issue is the statement of a leading politician who happens to be the foreign minister of Canada. And the statement is such in nature that either the gentleman is a genius, the like of him we have not seen for ages and we will never see again, or he is downright, well, you understand it. Well, let's take the first issue. The non-spread, the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons is a major endeavor of United States, the country which has used nuclear weapons itself. It obliterated Nagasaki and Hiroshima. It used a variation napalm bombs in Vietnam. In 1971, it sent its nuclear armada in the Bay of Bengal to terrify India, but the united will of the Indians, 800 million people, made Dirty Dick turn pale, and unilaterally he withdrew the nuclear armada, though he had threatened to bombard West Bengal in response to the Indian involvement in Bangladesh freedom war. Nevertheless, I am amazed when the politicians say that the nuclear power should be restrained in some countries. Okay. But can you control knowledge? The extent of human capability cannot be constrained by the political wishes. Imagine what happens when any country decides to go nuclear. It happened in India in 1971 when they attacked, they threatened to attack India. The scientists and the political leaders thought that they must have a deterrent. The war started. Ultimately, despite the existence of the monolith CIA, which watches every moment, the Orwellian big brother as it is, this country was able to detonate its first atomic bomb in Pokhran. It sent shockwaves all over the world because nobody could imagine that India, which was always thought to be hungry, downtrodden, assemblage of masses, could have such a capability that they could not only develop and detonate, but actually had a controlled fission. And then Dr. Khan did so in Pakistan. Again, despite all the allurements and the threats of USA. They brand North Korea as a rogue country, and North Korea has developed the same. Of course, that is thanks to Pakistan. Iran has practically developed the same. Israel has the same. South Africa is likely to have it in the next 1 to 2 years. And these countries, North Korea, Iran, South Africa, India, Pakistan, they are not involved in control. And even if they are involved, the countries like Canada, which have the capability but are not doing so, are involved. But the point arises, even if you say, okay, no country shall develop it, and you develop it. What do? You impose sanctions? Well, US and its coterie imposed sanctions on India and Pakistan. Who cared? They imposed sanctions on Iran. Who cared? They imposed sanctions on North Korea. Has anybody bothered? Has anybody scummed? The sanctions are meaningless and they hurt you more than they hurt the country on which the sanctions have been imposed. The whole talk of the nuclear non-proliferation is viable only when you show by example. Even today, the largest nuclear arsenal is with the United States. 8,700 nuclear warheads, followed by Russia, possibly China, France, and even Pakistan has got about 180 warheads, though in its fight against India it might not need more than 10. India has about 100. With that vast availability of the nuclear weapons, this talk and this jamboree, as I call it, is an exercise in futility. It would have been better for US first to have declared, okay, they are finishing off their own nuclear arsenal. The SALT treaties, SALT Treaty 1, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty I'm talking about, SALT 2, SALT 3, have been washed away by the rains of the political uncertainty. And any talk of the nuclear control speaks of two things. First, that some countries are the cops of the world. And today, nobody is going to accept a global cop. You can assume between yourselves what you are. And I am sure when Donald Trump said the other day on CNN that whether you believe it or not, these countries like Japan and South Korea are going to develop it, as is South Africa going to develop it, as is Iran going to have it, despite all the sanctions and all the negotiations and all the talk. They practically have it, it's only to be encapsulated in a practical form. With that thing in mind, would it not be better to turn the attention in a more practical way to the issue? And then when 50 people talk and they want to decide this issue in 2 days, when they have not been able to decide it in about 70 years, is something ridiculous, if not ludicrous. Nuclear energy has come to stay. Nuclear arms are there. Wishing them away is not going to make them fly on the witch's broom. What is required is a sense of probity and a sense of political honesty to ensure that they are not used. Now imagine they call North Korean leader a maniac. Well, he is a bit off the mark, maybe a lot off the mark, but till now he has not shown the tendency to use it. He has been threatening all right, but so has US been. The most practical example I gave was when it moves its 7th fleet in the Bay of Bengal. They issued over 382 serious warnings to Iran. 382 serious warnings? Do they really know what serious means? One serious warning should be sufficient and should be followed by action. Otherwise, the so-called serious warnings lose all their sense of seriousness. They have no, if they could not control Pakistan, how can they control the rest of the world? And Pakistan was depending on the United States for everything, for its food, for its exports, for its knowledge, for its protection, for its security. And yet they developed it by showing a little middle finger to US. The whole talk should be changed in a different manner. The stress should be on a very fair distribution of the knowledge. And that means, okay, let the countries develop it, but create the situations that they don't need to develop it. And if they are developed it, they don't need to use it. That means establishment of a world order which shows equitable, just society. You do not have a just society within the confines of your geographical limits. And you expect a just society all over the world. That's not done. This is something I would call it the stuff from which the nightmares are produced and not the golden dreams. Now coming to the second issue, I don't know what to say. I have always regarded Stephen Dion to be one of the better politicians. As an academician, he is a serious person. He has always been away from the intricacies and the intrigues. But when he made a statement in the Ottawa University the other day, it simply sent the shivers down my spine. He said that IS has been created because of global warming, climate change. Wow! Either he is a super genius or he is downright, well, again, you can take it the other way around. They say there is a very thin line between genius and lunatic. If that was so, then ISIS should not have been only in Middle East, it should have been all over the globe. Which it is going to be there, but then that is refugees and the emigration of ISS operatives. And then some homegrown acolytes. But to say that the climate change is responsible for ISIS, and then he talks about global change bringing about shortage of food, and then that creating the problem. But if that was so, why did the Kurds who live in the same area not become the same? Why did they not become the bloodthirsty? Why did Israel not become the bloodthirsty? Why did Saudi Arabia not become vicious? It is vicious in its own way, but not the way ISIS is. The whole thing is a hogwash. It's very easy to say, okay, ISIS is the result of global creation. Poverty is the result of global creation. Possibly they might say even trade winds are a result of global creation. Where are our politicians and the political leaders going to show that they have some semblance of capability, mental balance, and a capacity to see things in proper perspective? I rue the day when these people changed. We used to say that monarchy is bad. But then there was at that time one person who was bad. Now the whole cabinets in each country represent that one king. So that's a proliferation. Now I don't know why Obama doesn't talk about call a meeting non-proliferation of the political stupidity and idiocy rather than the non-proliferation of politicians. Looking at these two people and looking at the attitude, I'm just reminded of Shakespeare's play when the book says, Lord, what fools these mortals be, shall we their fond pigeons see? I don't know whether we see their pigeons or not. We are definitely not going to enjoy the antics of these people.